So in the past, I used to always relapse when I spent too much time on my own in my little studio flat. And it was really quite scary in a way because I didn't trust myself. I didn't believe that I could spend time on my own without doing anything. So I'd always end up relapsing. And I had these certain thought patterns like, oh, I got triggered, I was vulnerable. Like, I'd think to myself, why did I leave so much time in my day to just be on my own and not do anything? I believed that I needed to avoid having urges, I needed to stay busy, and that being home alone would always lead to me relapsing. And these sort of thought patterns were very much reinforced by the education that I sought online. I'd go on YouTube, watch NoFap videos, I'd go on Instagram and go on the App Store and download like a porn addiction recovery app or read books like Your Brain on Porn or Atomic Habits. I'd consume a lot of information. And a lot of it basically just taught me, okay, what you need to do is you just need to remove your triggers. And I remember at one point, I actually even put my phone in a locker in the office at work and I'd leave it there overnight because I was so scared of taking my phone home and getting out of control in my little studio flat all alone, right? So what would happen is even if I did remove these triggers, eventually these thought patterns would come up. I'd be like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like I need to release. I can't keep going. Oh, these urges are just going to get worse and worse. They're going to be here forever. Oh, one peak won't hurt. I'll just do it once and then I'll stop. And then I'd end up relapsing, binging, edging, getting into like all kinds of crazy shit on the internet, looking at like femdom videos and just be an absolute mess. I'd eventually relapse. And then what I would do is I'd rationalise it. And I'd say, oh, well, it's because I was in my flat alone. Or I'd say, oh, it's because I was so stressed out. Or, oh, it's because I felt really lonely. So I'd have these different rationalisations. And then I'd learn from the trigger. I'd say, oh, it's because I was stressed. And I'd go on a mission to remove my stress and meditate an hour every day. And I never feel lonely by reading books on loneliness and building a really vibrant social life. But the problem was there was a million different potential triggers that could have got me to relapse. So I just stayed stuck in this cycle, going round and round and consuming the information, being told to remove the triggers, removing the triggers and then eventually relapsing, and it was just exhausting. It was horrible. That is honestly where I was for years and years. So obviously, I just kept on going and learning and trying to seek out new information. I started a podcast. I met an amazing woman called Mary Paulus, and she taught me a completely different approach, completely different. And now where I'm at is I just know how to deal with compulsive desires 100% of the time. So let's go forward to, this last weekend. Right. It's Halloween, Friday night. This is last weekend. My girlfriend went up to Scotland, to Edinburgh, to visit her family because her brother had just had a child and she wanted to visit her new baby niece. So all very exciting for her. I was left out because they didn't have room in the car because she went with her mum, her dad and her dog, and they had a lot of luggage, and yeah, they didn't have room for me. So I'm just in my flat on my own. I hadn't actually made plans last weekend. Had a busy Sunday and I didn't have any plans for Friday night. And this time round, I was just good. Like, it's fine. It's not an issue, Maybe I had a compulsive desire. I can't even remember if I did or not. But if I did, I would have used my script. And it was all good. And then Saturday, I didn't actually have any plans. So it was just me on my own. But my thought patterns have changed. I trust myself now. I actually enjoy time on my own. Maybe I'll read a book or cook a nice meal for myself. Or I'll just not really do anything, or I'll watch a film on Netflix. In fact, I watched Wall-E at the weekend. I get to live without porn. I've solved this problem with porn. Obviously, I know I can always go and watch porn. Like, that's always going to be an option for me. It's not like I feel like, oh God, like I can't watch porn. I know I can watch porn, but I just know the consequences. So it's not something I'm going to choose to do because it's not worth it. And then Saturday comes around, I get to enjoy more time on my own. So I actually went to like a art gallery on Manchester. So that was fun. Yeah, just walked around for like 2 hours on my own, just kind of exploring a random art gallery. I went to the library for a bit. I went to a cafe and did a bit of work with a flat white, and that was fun. So yeah, just had a good weekend. Like, it was fine. I did have some compulsive desires at times actually on the Saturday. I'm not going to sit here and act like I never ever have urges, but I just dealt with them. I used my script, thought through the choice over and over and over, and I saw that as an opportunity to like rewire those neural pathways even further. And I don't really care whether I have these desires or not, because I know what to do if I have them. So I'm not going to sit here and act like it was the best weekend in the world. There were times where maybe I felt a bit of discomfort. It wasn't the best weekend in the world. And Saturday and Friday, spending a lot of time on my own, it was okay, but it wasn't particularly fun. But then Sunday comes around, and actually I host a book club here in Manchester. If you live in Manchester, by the way, and you love reading, let me know, because we can always create a space for you in the book club. But yeah, I hosted the book club. We went down to this woman called Elizabeth Gaskell's house. She was the author of this book that we read called North and South, and we had a good book club and explored this house and talked about the book. And then in the evening, I went over to a place called Bradford in Yorkshire and enjoyed a very, very nice meal at a restaurant called the Mumtaz. This was it's like a family restaurant for us in a way. Like it's our family's like favourite restaurant. Me, my mum, my dad, my sister, we'd go here on special occasions. We'd go to the IMAX, the big cinema, and we'd go out for a curry at this amazing restaurant called the Mumtaz. And the Queen of England, has actually visited this restaurant as well. So yeah, it's a great place. So I went there with my mum and dad on Sunday night, and I was just like so freaking like happy, like just so happy to be with my mum and dad, I guess, because maybe I'd spent a lot of the weekend on my own. I hadn't seen them for a little while, and I was just full of life. And we were talking about porn addiction a little bit as well, and how work's going, and I was getting caught up on their experience over the last few days, going on a little holiday around Yorkshire, and it was just good. Like, it was really, really good. And it's crazy to think that like a few years ago, I would have felt like a zombie with them. I would have been looking at them thinking, Jesus Christ, like I've just relapsed, because I know I would have relapsed in the past, and I would have been thinking, can my mum and dad tell that I've just been looking at female domination content on YouTube and like masturbating to it? That's what would have been going through my mind a few years ago. Whereas this time, my dad's asking me about like spontaneous versus compulsive desires, and I'm explaining addiction recovery to him. Like, it's just so different. It's awesome. It's so good that I don't have to be in the addiction anymore. I'm not saying this to show off, but more to kind of inspire and hopefully get across that like this is all possible for you. Like, I'm not special in any way. I just got very lucky that Mary Paulus came into my life and taught me the Beyond Compulsion method. That's literally what happened. So yeah, Mary Paulus, this is Mary. You've probably seen it on like our podcast, right? Unless this is like the first episode you've ever listened to. But yeah, Mary, she lives in Portland in Oregon. She taught me this Beyond Compulsion method. Very, very detailed education on the addictive part of the mind, how to deal with compulsive desires directly. If you take one thing from this little video, know that the only thing you need to really do if you want to solve your porn addiction is completely master how to deal with compulsive desires. And compulsive desires can be junky thoughts, unanswerable questions. We've got some videos on those, so go watch them. Or just that discomfort, like just having the urge. Or it could be this like sexual horniness at times, whatever it is, right? Basically, if a part of your mind is trying to get you to engage in a behaviour that you want to stop, you've got a compulsive desire going on. That's what's going on, all right? And then what you would do is you'd want to have a very specific tool to think through that choice in that moment so you can make a rational decision. Me and my clients, we use a script, 5 facts, and this enables us, it's built like through a very, very extensive education on the addictive part of the mind, the rational self, the child self, and there's quite a lot of information, but that's put into one script, and I'd think through the choice with this script. So yeah, if you would like to learn more, then you can book a one-on-one call with me. This is free, a discovery call. If you are in a position where you are looking to really sort of solve this problem, you're very serious about rewiring your brain and you want to do it in the same way that I've done it and just completely copy my method, then you can book in a one-on-one call with me. As I say, if you get one thing out of this video, please know that it is possible to fully overcome this issue, get to a position where you can talk about it freely with your parents, your family, your friends, go on YouTube, talk about this. Like, you can do all of this shit that I'm doing right now. That is possible for you. You don't have to stay stuck in the addiction forever. you can change your neural pathways with the right training, with the right education, with the right work effort. Like it takes work. Like if I hadn't used my script on Saturday when I was having a few compulsive desires, I probably would have ended up back in the addiction. And that's a crazy thought, but I may have done. I don't know, but there's a good chance I would have done, because I wouldn't have had a way to actually put the rational part of my mind back in control. And that's why we need a process, like a system to deal with the compulsive desires. If you don't have any system, any process, any method to actually deal with that part of your mind, well, it's just going to like come up with some bullshit and, some rationalizations to get you to relapse. And you're going to say, oh, it was because I was lonely. Well, because I was in my flat. You're going to come up with these rationalizations if you don't have a way to see all of that as complete nonsense that just comes from the addicted part of the mind and is completely to be expected. And there's nothing wrong with desires. There's no shame in having desires. It's how you respond that matters. So yeah, feel free to book in a one-on-one call if you would like. If you think I could help you and get the same education that Mary's taught me. Cheers for listening. Hopefully this is useful and can kind of shift your paradigm to which you see porn addiction. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.